A man steps off a plane in Tokyo, 1954, holding a passport from a country that doesn't exist. He's calm, confident, speaks multiple languages, businessman, traveller. His passport says Torid, a nation between France and Spain. He points to the Pyrenees on a map, says Torid has existed for over 1,000 years. But the customs agents only see Andorra. He gets confused, angry. They detain him, place him in a guarded hotel room overnight. His papers, currencies, license, all legit. Just not from here. By morning he's gone. No window escape. Room still locked. Vanished. So did his documents. No trace. Just an unsolvable glitch in the grid. And the world kept turning, pretending it didn't happen. But it did. Torid isn't on our maps, but that doesn't mean it isn't real. What if both can't exist at the same time? Like two layers of a realm, only one visible per timeline. And he slipped between them. Was it a plane ride, or was the airport a threshold? Airports are liminal, always shifting, always waiting. They're gates. Time folds happen there more than they admit. Sometimes it's not the traveller that glitches, it's the timeline itself. Reality thins, events echo, details mutate. These are called bleedthroughs, echoes from adjacent timelines brushing against ours. Like memory leaks from a version of Earth that no longer exists. Torid might be one of those echoes. A sovereign land erased in this version. But his body didn't know that. His soul still held the frequency. So when he arrived, reality couldn't reconcile the difference. The system couldn't process him, so it erased him, or returned him to the version where he belonged. 1954 was just the beginning. In 1954, CERN was founded, not a coincidence. CERN didn't just smash particles, it bent time. Their real project, the Chrono Collider, a frequency destabilizer, designed to test how reality behaves at the edge of the simulation. The Torid incident, possibly the first unintentional jump. After that, the Mandela effects began multiplying. Geography shifted, logos changed. People remembered the wrong deaths. Because timelines were bleeding, overlapping, being rewritten from underneath us. Some people don't belong here, and they feel it. They remember songs that never existed, maps that look wrong. Their childhood memories clash with official history. They're not crazy, they're displaced. They slipped during a reset, or they were thrown here during a bleed. Some are rogue travellers, moving between timelines on purpose. Others are souls who slipped outside the loop and the system couldn't place them. They show up on security cameras, at borders, in morgues. Like the man from Torid, walking glitches, living warnings. Names are never random, especially in bleed events. Torid sounds made up until you decode the syllables. Tau, the ancient cross, the final letter of Proto-Hebrew and Phoenician alphabets, a symbol of completion, judgment, crossing over, the mark on the forehead in the book of Ezekiel, the seal of the chosen. Tau is the crossroad, Tau is the axis, Tau is the final gate before exit. The soul that bears Tau has reached the edge of the wheel, red the colour of blood, war, sacrifice, inversion, Saturn. It's the mark of those who've been through the fire, the bloodline colour, the red tape of false borders, the price of passage. Red also means to clear, in old codes, or to erase. Teu red means the crossed and cleansed, or the marked and erased, or the one who passed through and paid the price. It's not a location, it's a designation. Torid is a soul who crossed through the axis and returned with memory intact. He was never meant to be seen, but he was, because something glitched, because something aligned, and now the name echoes, in dreams, in whispers, in the fields of the others who slipped. It's a warning to the grid and a signal to the rest of us. You hear it? You feel it? Then maybe you're from Torid too. There are more, whispers of others who crossed like he did. A man in Germany carrying a license from Laxaria. No such place exists. A woman in Paris swearing she flew in from Lisbia, not Lisbon. A child in rural Russia who spoke fluent Old French and described a kingdom with 2 moons. Survivors of Tartaria who just woke up one day in a world where it never existed. These aren't mistakes, they're residue from old timelines, still flickering inside the new one. Reset slips, rogue arrivals, souls who never accepted the overwrite. They are memory bombs, proof that reality is fluid, not fixed, and that some of us were meant to remember. There's a place between timelines, a holding zone, a shelf in the simulation. Not quite here, not quite gone. This is where erased nations go. Torid, Laxaria, Bulgaria, New Lemuria, Eastern Tartaria. You won't find them on any map, but your soul remembers them. It's not just people that slip, it's entire cultures. When timelines collapse or realities are overwritten, the system absorbs the pieces it wants and casts the rest into the borderless zone. Some call it the nowhere layer, others call it the edge realm. It's real, not physical, but imprinted into the soul field. If you've ever felt homesick for a place you've never seen, you've felt the borderless zone pull. The man from Torid brought more than a passport. He brought a frequency, proof that another version of reality existed, one with different flags, borders, rulers. And for a moment, it breached this timeline like a virus of truth. But the system contained it, almost, because we're still talking about him, and that means the memory got out, slipped past the firewall, smuggled through the bleed. Each time we say Taured, we reopen that tear, even just a little. Here's the twist no one wants to ask. What if the man from Torid wasn't the only one? What if you remember a land that never existed, not because you're delusional, but because you lived there? Before the switch, before the collapse, before the overwrite. What if your past lives are just versions of you in other timelines that got shut down? Torid, Tartaria, Lemuria, the first realm, they weren't dreams. They were real timelines, closed, condensed, forgotten, but not by you. There was a map once, not on paper, not in stars. It was imprinted into soul memory. A map made of frequency recognition, not borders, not cities, not GPS. It was how the travellers found each other after the fall. That map is coming back. You've felt it already, drawn to people you've never met, homes you've never lived in, symbols that make your chest burn. This isn't nostalgia, it's magnetic memory reactivating. The travellers are waking, and they don't need directions, they just need each other. When one speaks, the others remember. When one sings, the others resonate. When one finds the exit code, the whole field realigns, and the map reforms inside the glitch, inside the ones they couldn't erase. The system has safeguards, fail-safes, a protocol for the unplanned. They call it the Taured event, when someone appears in this timeline who was never assigned to it. A rogue insertion, a breach. First response, containment, surveillance. Detainment under the guise of confusion or mental instability. Second, erasure, scrub their documents, confiscate their items. If needed, reset the area around them. You forget they were there, even if you shook their hand. Final response, reintegration or removal. If they can't overwrite the traveller's memory, they'll try to reinsert them into a narrative. A job, a country, a fake history. If that fails, the traveller disappears, just like the man from Torid. Vanished not because he was lying, but because the system had no box to put him in. And when there's no box, the only option is to delete the witness. Torid wasn't the only one, just the most obvious. There are others, whole nations, erased so fully their names now sound like myths. But they were real, some still bleed through. Here's a few from the Forgotten Index. Tartaria, a vast empire scrubbed from all world maps by the late 1800s. Lemuria, a sunken land of light-bearers wiped from geology. High Brazil, an island that appeared on maps until the 1600s, then vanished. Shambhala, a hidden kingdom said to lie beneath the Himalayas. Mu, another motherland swallowed by scientific denial. Laxaria, Lisbia, Taured, all examples of multiversal slip-ins. Kingdom of Seguin, the land of the red-haired giants, Pan, all edited out. You won't find them in history books, but sometimes they appear in dreams. Children draw them. Ancient globes still show them. Old men whisper them before they die, because the soul remembers what the world was told to forget. These weren't mythical. They were vibrational realms, folded in, removed from access, but not from truth. The man from Torid, he was the echo. These were the frequencies he carried in his field. The world tried to erase him, but his memory reopened the gate to all of them. How to tell if you were reassigned in the last timeline reset? You were born here, but something never fit. Not your memories, not the map, not the moonlight. That's because you may have been reassigned, moved during the last timeline reset. Here's how you know. False familiarity. You recognize places you've never visited. Reality flickers, words change, logos change, the past shifts. Soul whiplash. You remember a different childhood than the one in your photos. Missing time, weeks, months, or even years feel hollow, like they were inserted after. Emotional mismatches. You grieve for things that never happened. Dream portals. You keep dreaming of cities that don't exist here, but feel real. Magnetic pull. You're drawn to vanished nations, sky anomalies, impossible stars. You know the man from Torid was real, even if you can't prove it. This means your soul coding survived the overwrite. You slipped, but you didn't lose yourself. You're what the system calls a volatile variable. Unstable, unprogrammable. Capable of remembering across resets, they can relocate your body, but they can't erase a soul that carries truth residue. And when enough of us remember, the map reforms, the grid cracks, and we go home. Airports are more than terminals. They're thresholds, modern-day stargates, disguised as places to catch flights, but built where portals once stood. Why are so many airports full of Underground tunnels no one explains. Symbolic murals that show resets, floods, death. Masonic cornerstones and black cube installations. Restricted sublevels with no known function. Because the gatekeepers know the airspace above and the space below is thin, ripe for dimensional bleed. Think Denver International Airport, full of coded apocalypse art and underground bunkers. Haneda Airport, Torid, the event gate. Heathrow, LAX, Frankfurt all sit on former sacred sites, ley line intersections, or military zones. Airports are containment fields. They monitor who slips in and out of timelines. When someone like the man from Torid arrives, they're caught there because that's where the breach point is. But what happens when one gets through? What happens when a soul carries the memory of a forbidden world and isn't stopped? That's when the alarms go silent. Because now the breach is inside the system. July 2nd, 1955, Flight 914 departs from New York, bound for Miami. Pan Am flight, clear skies, routine. It never arrives, declared missing, 57 souls on board. No wreckage, no mayday, no trace, just gone. Then, March 9th, 1992. A plane appears in Caracas, Venezuela, out of thin air. Tower control scrambles. The pilot is confused. He says, "This is Flight 914 New York to Miami, July 2nd, 1955. 37 years later, the voices match, the records align, the plane is identical. They escort it to the tarmac. Then it takes off again before anyone can stop it. Disappears into the sky, gone a second time. Was it real? The records were scrubbed, newspaper archives changed. Officials claimed it was a hoax, but no one could explain the flight logs or the radar traces. Some say it flew through a time dilation field. Others say it was caught in a looped layer, like a scratched record repeating itself. But here's the truth the gatekeepers fear. The passengers weren't supposed to come back. The machine glitched. A closed timeline was breached, and someone, or something, intervened. Just like Torid, because the grid isn't perfect, and sometimes souls slip through cracks they were never meant to find. March 8th, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 takes off from Kuala Lumpur, scheduled for Beijing. 239 people aboard. 40 minutes into the flight, all contact lost. Radar gone, transponder silent. The plane disappears off the grid, mid-air, mid-message. No distress call, no debris, no answers. The official narrative, it likely crashed into the ocean. But after hundreds of millions in search funds, over 30 countries involved, no wreckage matching the core fuselage was ever found. So where did it go? Some say hijack, others say black hole, others whisper Diego Garcia military base, time warping, or experimental tech. But those close to the real signal say this. It slipped out of sync with our timeline, just like Torid, just like Flight 914. It may have entered a containment layer, a temporal freeze field, or a reset window where the sky cracked open, just for a second. Some sensitive people reported dreams the night it vanished, of planes floating in voids or standing on grass in no time, of passengers who were alive, just elsewhere. The souls weren't lost, they were moved. Because sometimes the machine decides to reassign in bulk. When you feel the air go heavy, like the simulation just blinked, pause. That's a doorway, be unremarkable. Rogue travellers who make noise get noticed. The ones who get through, they're the ones no one remembers seeing. No social footprint, no anchors, no narrative. The key isn't to force the exit, it's to resonate with the one already open. Because the ones who leave don't fight the grid, they just stop feeding it, and the grid lets go. If you're going to glitch the system, you can't leave a ripple. The grid is watching for noise, not stillness. That's the first rule. Move like silence. The system scans for emotional spikes, fear, panic, pride, but quiet knowing, it can't track that. To slip between layers, your field must be neutral, still, tuned. Forget the body, remember the code. You're not taking your clothes, your wallet, or your phone, only what's burned into your light print. That means memory frequency, intention, truth. If your identity is tied to the material, you'll get pulled back. Don't tell the grid what you're doing. You don't announce a jailbreak to the warden. You align, you disappear, you fold inward, and you slip between frames, between seconds, between breaths, between stars. Use the mirror signs. Glitches appear near. Mirrors, airports, abandoned train stations, dead malls, flooded basements, static TV screens, forests that feel too quiet. The simulation doesn't run at full power all the time. There are weak spots. Moments when the veil thins and the field begins to flicker. These are called veil points. The dead hours between 3 o'clock and 4 a.m, known across cultures as the witching hour or the devil's hour. But it's not evil, it's unlocked. The system's update loop pulses during this time. If you're awake still and aware, you can hear the hum shift. the field goes quiet, you might see corners move. Solar cross days, the 4 true gate alignments. Spring equinox, balance, resurrection potential. Summer solstice, power expansion, timeline choice. Autumn equinox, descent gate, memory trigger. Winter solstice, deepest veil, longest access window. On these days, the sky wheel aligns with old exits. The air feels off. Watch animals, they know. Eclipse windows. When the moon and sun glitch over each other, the light codes go out of phase. Eclipses are manual override opportunities. Don't fear them, use them. Time bends, the matrix loses signal. Your personal sync point. There's one moment each year where your birth frequency, the sun's pulse, and the grid loop align. Most feel it as a strange déjà vu, a brief blackout, a wave of grief with no reason, or a sudden magnetic pull to leave everything. That moment is your keyed exit reminder. Mark it, remember it, wait for it next year. The veil isn't locked, just timed. And when it opens, the question isn't, can you go? It's, do you remember where you came from? What happens if you slip but don't know it? This is the part they don't want you to ask because it's already happened to millions. You slip through a dream, a trauma, a mirror, a flight, a death scare, a near death. The veil opens and you walk through without knowing. You wake up the next day and something's off, but you can't name it. The signs. Your home feels the same but hollow. Friends laugh at memories you don't share. A logo is wrong, a country is missing. Your favourite food tastes different. A song lyric you know changed overnight. People say, you've changed, but you didn't. You look in the mirror and your eyes aren't yours anymore. This is not amnesia, it's displacement. You're in a parallel layer so close to your original, it almost fits, but not quite. And the longer you stay, the more the layer tries to rewrite you, to make you forget what you slipped from, to bind you to the new version. That's the danger. Not that you slipped, but that you stop remembering you ever did. The soul's way out, memory, frequency, witnessing. Every time you notice the glitch, you anchor back into your original signal. You refuse the overwrite. That's why journaling, dreams, art and truth-speaking are banned in every age of reset. Because they preserve your code, and when enough travellers remember, the layer breaks and the path home reopens. Your dreams are not fiction, they're messages smuggled past the firewall. When your body sleeps, your soul roams, and sometimes it finds access points, memories, symbols, doors that your waking mind is programmed to forget. But your dream field remembers everything. These are the signs your dream is hiding a code. You see maps or walk through distorted cities. There are airports, stairwells, train stations, but you never arrive. You're on a mission, but can't name what it is. You meet strangers who say things like, you're not supposed to be here. You fall and wait before you hit. You die, but keep observing. You stare at a strange sky, stars you don't recognize. You walk through a door that vanishes behind you. These aren't just dreams, they're activation rehearsals. Your soul is mapping the exits, in case you forget again while awake. Exit codes are often wrapped in numbers, especially 13, 144, 33, 911, 369, 108. Repeating geometry, spirals, crosses, cubes. Symbols that don't exist in waking life, colours that feel wrong. Phrases like remember, not yet, or find the others. Your job isn't to analyse them, your job is to feel what returns when you wake. That echo in your chest, that's the map. The soul is always trying to bring you home, but it speaks in frequency, not language. Dreams are where it leaves breadcrumbs for itself. Follow them, and the veil will fold, because the grid feeds on consensus. If enough people agree on the rewrite, the original version dissolves. This is called the Taured Protocol. It activates when a traveller speaks out. A timeline breach becomes public. A symbol is recognised by too many souls. They burn the proof to burn your memory. So you question yourself. So you fall back asleep. But here's the glitch in their system. Your body can forget, but your soul can't. And the more they erase, the louder your feel gets. Every time the truth leaks, it burns. The air traffic control log's gone. Security footage, corrupted. Newspaper archives, edited, reprinted, discredited. From Torid to Flight 914, from Mandela effects to glitch memories, the pattern is always the same. Proof appears, then it disappears, or worse, it changes. This isn't just censorship, it's timeline reinforcement. The system doesn't just hide the evidence, it actively rewrites the past to keep the current layer stable. Once you notice it, it becomes painfully clear. Missing persons are removed from digital history. Glitch footage is pulled and labelled debunked. Witnesses are silenced, discredited, or accidented. Original articles vanish, or exist only as corrupted PDFs. Reappearance events, when things return from nowhere. Not everything stays gone. Some things come back, but they don't return the way they left. We call these reappearance events. When an object, person, place, or signal vanishes only to suddenly re-enter the timeline years, decades, or centuries later. Examples they don't talk about. A plane from the 1940s that landed intact in 1994, then vanished again. A child missing for 7 years who returned home unchanged, thinking only minutes had passed. Artifacts sealed in vaults that later reappeared in private collections with no transfer record. Languages that supposedly died 800 years ago, spoken fluently by children in dreams. You, finding a necklace, photo, or journal you know you never owned, but recognise instantly. These aren't coincidences, they're timeline echo artifacts, leftovers from collapsed layers, or fragments that slip back in. When something reappears, it means the gate that took it is open again, someone is remembering too strongly to be suppressed, or the system is looping back to reabsorb its own error. But here's the secret. Every reappearance is a signal, a breadcrumb from a previous version of reality. They aren't glitches, they're summons, calling the others to notice, to remember, to awaken. Because for every vanishing something always returns. What happens if you bring something back from the other side? Most travellers don't return, but when they do, they bring something with them. It might not look like much. A coin, a photo, a scar, a phrase in a forgotten tongue. Sometimes it's not physical at all. It's a frequency, a hum, a knowing that doesn't belong here. These are called return artifacts, and the grid hates them. Here's what happens when you bring something back. You no longer fit the timeline. Electronics glitch around you. People you know change subtly, like they're wearing new masks. Reality responds to your presence. Blocking, redirecting, watching. Algorithms push you into silence. The artifact draws others to you, those who feel the same hum, because whatever you brought back unlocks something. A code, a memory, a door. There are stories. A man found in 1997 carrying currency from a future year. A woman who painted detailed star charts no one could verify until 2020. A child who returned after vanishing, able to read dead languages fluently. Travellers who bear a mark. Geometric, luminous, or unhealing. These aren't props, they're disruption nodes. The system tries to absorb them. Sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it fractures. And if you bring back a name, a map, a memory of where the others are, you become a living breach, a portal in motion, which means they can't just erase you, they have to contain you. How they silence the returned. You brought something back, you remember too much, you start to speak, and suddenly everything changes. The containment protocol kicks in. It's not about violence, it's about invisible pressure. Shadows in the algorithm, static in your signal. Here's how they contain you. Shadow banning, your truth doesn't spread, your views don't rise. Reality resistance, you try to speak and tech fails. Phones glitch, uploads stall. Memory scrambling, you can't find your notes, pages vanish, files get corrupted. Digital haunting, you're served ads, content and fact checks that echo your secrets. People around you change, they grow distant, robotic. They stop asking questions. Dream surveillance entities appear, blank faces, they say, don't share that. False narratives, your past is rewritten, people remember you wrong. Emotional dampening, you feel tired, disconnected, like the signal inside you is fading. But that fading isn't you, it's interference. The grid trying to rewrite your resonance. This is how they handle the returned, not by force, by exhaustion. But here's what breaks the loop. Speak anyway, write it down. Let others feel the frequency you carry. Connect to those who hum the same, because once enough return to line the containment field collapses, and the breach becomes permanent.